and welcome to King's Kids. It's great to be with you again and happy June-mas. It is 6 months till Christmas. It is the halfway point and so it warrants a mini celebration. So why not? Let's think about your favourite Christmas songs. Let's get in the Christmassy mood, and after 3, everybody, I want to hear a big ho ho ho. Okay, ready everyone? 1, 2, 3, ho ho ho! Wow, almost better than the real thing. Let's try it one more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3, ho ho ho! We're gonna hear from Mike now.
Hello and welcome back to You vs Mike, and a happy June-mas to you all. It is a season to be jolly, and the reason for the season, what is it? You got it, Jesus. So, for this week's challenge, you're going to need some sun cream because it's not actually cold outside, it's quite warm. And we're going to see who can create the best Christmas beard out of sun cream in 30 seconds.
Okay, on your marks, get set, go.
Do it in the mirror. They're all going to have an advantage. They can see themselves on Zoom.
Pattern you're trying to learn.
It's like a swirly, twirly. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Now I'm a bit disappointed that you missed a bit on your chin. Looking good, Mike.
Great. Would love to see what you come up with your beards. And you know a great thing about this? After you've done it, I'm ready to go outside. See you later. Can't get out.
Now for today's drawing challenge, we are going to be drawing the true meaning of Christmas. What does it really mean to us as Christians? If you don't want to draw it, then why not explain it? Why is it so important? Make sure you discuss it with your Zoom group. Now, when you've got a June-mas teaching, there is only one story that can go alongside it. Can you guess what it is? Well, we're looking about how Jesus is God in human form. And so obviously we've got to start at his birthday. So let's see if we can remember the story when it's not actually Christmas, because it's still so important to us.
Remember Abraham? God gave him 3 promises. Your children will become a great nation, that the nation will have its own land, and from that nation will come a blessing for the whole world. After 1,500 years, 2 of those promises had come true. Abraham's kids became the nation of Israel and they got their own land, the promised land. But the blessing for the whole world, what was that? And when was it coming? Would it solve the problem of sin? Would it change the people of the world so that they could be friends with God again? The prophet Isaiah talked about a Messiah. That means anointed one. God anointed kings and very special leaders when he had an important job for them to do. But 400 years had passed since the time of Isaiah. 400 years without any new prophets. 400 years without any new messages from God. And the Israelites were getting tired of waiting for the special leader. Where was the blessing? Some of the Israelites were starting to lose hope. But then something incredible happened. An angel appeared to a young woman named Mary. "You'll have a son," said the angel. "How will that be? I'm not even married," said Mary. It's true, Mary wasn't married. She had promised to marry a man named Joseph, but they weren't married yet. Then the angel said something amazing. He told Mary the baby's father would be God himself. Her baby would be the Son of God. Pretty wild, right? You'd think that Mary would have passed out and fallen on the floor right then, but she was brave. She trusted God. "I'm the servant of the Lord," she said. "May this happen just as you have said." Then the angel said one more thing to Mary. He said the baby's name would be Jesus. And when it was almost time for the baby to come, Joseph and Mary travelled to Bethlehem. They needed somewhere to stay, a nice place for Mary to have her baby. If this baby was really God's own son, he should have been born in a fancy palace, right? In a big, beautiful place surrounded by fancy people wearing fancy clothes. After all, this baby was the Son of God. But Mary didn't have her baby in a fancy palace or in a nice warm inn by a fire. No, Mary had her baby in a barn for animals. Mary's baby Jesus wasn't surrounded by fancy people. He was surrounded by sheep and goats and chickens. And this was God's blessing for the whole world. The blessing Israel had been awaiting for almost 2,000 years. This wasn't the way people expected it to happen. Then more angels showed up. A whole bunch of them, and they sang and celebrated the birth of a new king, the birth of Jesus. Where do you think God's mighty angels announced the birth of his son? Probably in the biggest city to the world's most important people, right? To the kings and generals, to the rich, important, fancy people. But that isn't where the angels sang of Jesus' birth. This amazing group of God's messengers appeared in the middle of a field, the middle of nowhere, and they didn't sing to kings and rich folk, they sang to shepherds. To a group of dirty, smelly guys who took care of a dirty, smelly sheep. God showed the world his power, who he really was, not in an army, but in a baby, not in a palace, but in a stable, not to kings and rich people, but to shepherds. God's rescue plan was happening. His kingdom was on the move, but God was announcing very clearly that this blessing for the world wasn't going to be what people expected. This tiny little baby, born in a stable, celebrated by shepherds, was going to turn the whole world upside down.